Example 3 is about DRP. It is an exam assignment from 2010. There is a plant that serves the customers in two markets, in Danish market and in the Scandinavian market. The customers in Danish market are served by a warehouse in Aarhus, and then the rest, the Scandinavian customers are served by a warehouse in Stockholm. And we need to fill in the DRP records for these two warehouses and see how it will reflect the affect the master schedule of the plant. So we if we put them in tables, the data that are given in the text of the assignment, so we'll get something like this. For the first two tables, I will not repeat the calculations here. They are just similar to what we did for the material requirement plans. So for the ending inventory, for example, we need to take into account the inventory from the previous month, previous week, plus the scheduled receipts, plus the planned receipts, minus the forecasted demand here instead of gross requirements. So it is for this. And then for the net requirements, we will have the max between 0 and the difference between gross requirements and scheduled receipts minus inventory from the previous month. So this is the net requirement. And we can do the same for the next weeks, and it is just similar for the warehouse in Aarhus. And if we do the calculations and take into account this 1 week lead time and the order quantities of size 40, then we will get these two tables. Of course, it is 20 for warehouse in Aarhus, and lead time is 2 in Aarhus. Anyway, we'll get these two tables, and we need to see and how this tables can be used in the plant, in the manufacturer, to do the master production scheduling. For week 1, we will take the planned orders in the warehouses as the forecasted demand. So from warehouse in Stockholm, we have 0 planned orders, and in Aarhus again it is 0. So the forecasted demand in week 1 is equal to 0. But if we do the same calculations for the next weeks, we can see that, for example, in week 3 we have a forecasted demand equal to 60, which is 20 for the warehouse, from the warehouse in Aarhus, and 40 from the warehouse in Stockholm. And also there is a positive forecasted demand in week 5. So far we have confirmed one order of size 60 in week 1, and there is no other orders that are booked for the next 5 weeks, weeks 2 to 6. We have 70 units of product already in the inventory, and now we want to calculate the projected ending inventory for the next week. So if you remember, the projected ending inventory was the inventory from the previous time period plus master production schedule minus maximum of the booked orders and forecasted demand. So it is what we talked about on Wednesday when we learned about master production schedules. So this is how we calculate projected ending inventory. So if you do not remember it, please go and review the literature for that session. And in a similar way, I can calculate the ending inventory for the other weeks. And based on this ending inventory, I can see that I have a minus ending inventory in week 3. So I am going to schedule a production here, and the lot size can be equal to 75. So I will put a 75 here. And then again in week 5, I can see that the projected ending inventory is minus, so I will plan or schedule another production batch of 75 for week 5. And this way I can see that all of the forecasted demand would be satisfied by the master production schedules and or by the productions that are scheduled, and also by the inventory that I have in the beginning of this time period. Then I need also to calculate the available to promise. If you remember, we said that available to promise is calculated for the first week and also for the weeks that have a positive master production schedule. So here it is week 3 and week 5. And the available to promise for week 1 was the inventory on hand from the previous time periods plus the scheduled production minus the total orders until the next time period that the master production schedule is positive. So it is only weeks 1 and 2, and it will give us a available to promise equal to 10, meaning that a new demand of size 10 can immediately be satisfied by the already scheduled productions and inventory on hand in weeks 1 and 2. Then we do the calculations for week 3, and we said that for any week other than week 1, when we are calculating available to promise, we will not take into account the ending inventory from the previous time period. So here we only need to deduct the total booked orders from the master production schedule, and this total of book orders is only for weeks 3 and 4 because we have a positive master production schedule in week 5. So there is a production already scheduled for week 5, so we only need to take into account the orders in week 3 and 4. So here I have master production minus sum of the orders in week 3 and 4, which is 0 of course, so I will get a 75 for available to promise in week 3. Through the same discussion, I can calculate the available to promise in week 5, and it is 75. So this is the second part of the assignment. In the first part you need to explain the purpose or the main elements of a DRP plan report. So you can now answer the question maybe based on what we explained in this videos, or after reading the chapter 12 of the book.